But the one thing that I want to remind everybody of, and I sort of missed this morning, was that Joanne brought some papers in for Uncle Sam, so I know how everybody loves to do that by, what is it, April 15th or 13th? I can't remember what that famous day is, tax day. Your tax papers are there. So today, we had 3 lessons that were talking to us about the calling, our callings, and how people get called to serve God. The first part was in that Old Testament lesson, and that speaks to us of calling a nation, or is it someone for a message for that nation in the Old Testament reading today, where Isaiah calls out, and Isaiah says that even though he was in the womb of his mother, that plan was conceived even before he was born. So think about that, how things like that happen, how we are called and how God puts us in that particular place. That different times the message may be different, but it may be for more than just you. It may be for an entire nation or the entire world. And that may come at a late age, that may come at an early age. Who knows when that will come, that message. Just like some of the talents that we have in this congregation here. We are called to different parts of service to the congregation and to God. Some of us may be a good carpenter, which I consider myself a wood butcher. That means I measure once and then cut instead of measure twice and cut. And that happens. I'm not real good at that, but I can be better. I can be better as a Christian too by studying the Word and understanding the call that we may have. So we look at Isaiah as this prophet, and we all know what happened to prophets during the Old Testament time. They didn't hang around too long. Something happened to them. They were beaten, they were stoned, what have you. So the next part, I may get to the third one, I don't know, but those of you that know me know I enjoy reading the epistles, and I believe I like Paul's approach to a lot of things, because Paul was the type of guy that you would not ever expect to become a Christian. And Paul was talking to the Corinth church, the Corinthians at that time, and boy were they going through problems. I mean, there was change coming and there was all kinds of things. They were all Christians, but they believed in order for yourself to be a Christian, you had to be Jewish first. So that created a problem for some of the guys that were outside of the Jewish faith at that time, and rightly so. And Paul said no. Paul was there to talk to the Gentiles, and Peter was there to talk to the Jews. And there was all kinds of problems that were going on in the church. And what Paul was trying to do was say, hey, look, this is okay. They can come. Be thankful that we're all Christians under the same umbrella, that we're all the same, that I did not have to be Jewish first in order to become a Christian. So Paul's ministry went on for quite some time to look at and bring the word to, at that time, probably pagans, because paganism was a huge religion at that time. And Rome was converting over, not by leaps and bounds, by the way. They were growing steadily. And the church at Corinth, I think there were more ritualistic type things that were, the arguments were coming over. The arguments were not coming over, was Jesus born again, or was Jesus risen from the dead? That was not a question for any of those, and I don't believe that's a question for any of us in here. That Christ was resurrected from the dead, and we should be resurrected from the dead, and the witness is there. But you see, Paul was sort of a unique guy. He wasn't there at that time. Jesus appeared to Paul on the road to Damascus. We all know that, and we know that story. And he was blinded, and we know that story too. And later, he was able to see. And he had this amazing turnaround. Well, does that happen all the time for all of us? Not really. Good. We let it happen. Sometimes we have a tough time leaving that Christian spirit come back into our heart, or those beliefs that we have. We call ourselves Christians, and we fight over some of the dumbest stuff sometimes. You know, should the right candle be lit first, or should the left candle be lit first? Do we walk? Do we have church on Sunday at this time, or is it that? Has nothing to do with us being Christians and what we do. It's the practices that we do on a weekly basis. And my goodness, sometimes we change a few things, and it's like the end of the world. So change never, ever, ever comes easy. I mean, think about the changes that we had in life. When we were little kids, like I was talking to the kids, they didn't want to listen to mom and dad. And then when we became adults, we didn't want to listen to mom and dad. And then when we had our own kids, they didn't want to listen to us. And my mom used to tell me that's the curse that mothers put on sons, is that you get exactly what you put out. So we thought we knew everything when we were 16 and 17. And oh, how we found out that we didn't know that much. And just like when we come into church and we went through confirmation, and there were questions that were there and all kinds of things that went on, it was a tough time for us to understand all of these changes that we're going through. And that confirmation, what does that mean? Well, when you're about 12, 13, or 14, it means after you get done with this, you don't have to come back to church anymore until it's time to get married, as one person told me. Well, that just means you can get married in the church. Okay. Well, and I was sort of a late bloomer at confirmation, because at that time it was 2 years you had to go to confirmation class, and I was 16 when I ended up going there. So myself and Howard Sauter had some pretty good conversations. Like I would ask him, what's Jesus' last name? And he's Jesus of Nazareth. That's how they said things there, okay? So I said, so you mean to tell me that God created the earth and the heavens in 7 days? He said, well, Bruce, it goes like this. How long is a day in God's time? So it was a change that I was going through. There were some acceptances that I had to make, just as there are acceptances that we have to make when we become a member of a congregation, and we are a congregation as a group. And Paul was talking a lot about that to the Corinthians at that time. Look, what he's saying is, you don't necessarily have to be a Jew first and then become a Christian. We're all Christians all together. There isn't one Christian better than the other Christian. We are all the same. Some of us are called to do different things within our church and within our congregation or within our community. Our job that we have may be a calling itself. So when you help out in the church, no matter how small you may think it is, it's not small to God. It's big to you, because it's a calling to you, to your heart, that you're going to do these things. I'm trying to stay on time, Russ. So let's move to the gospel lesson today. And in the gospel lesson, we look at that in Jesus. He started that change process already with those disciples on that walk. If you can remember back when John baptized Jesus, there were a lot of people that were saying that they thought John was the Messiah. And John was saying, no, it's not me. And when he baptized Jesus, it was like the Spirit came down like a dove from the sky. And he was witness to that. And John knew what his calling was. And it goes on, and as we we said in that scripture today. So that change process started. They were friends there for a while, and then this friendship became disciples. There's a big difference between a friend and being a disciple. Friends, we all have friends, but when we serve that friend and openly serve that friend, and as it said in the scripture today that he went back, he said, "Come with me," and somewhere around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that started their discipleship. That's when it started. That's when they were called. They were called by the Lord himself and recognized that calling somewhere within their heart. It's very important that we understand that calling and that we are able to act on that calling. Maybe not right at that present. Sometimes we have to reflect. We have to think a little bit about what we're called to do in our community, in our church, in our family. Some calling may just be a matter of counseling with some of our younger members, the young people that are here. You as parents are called to be great parents with your children, to give them the guidance that they need so that they can be successful in life, and that later on you can say, "See, Mom's parents did work. They don't listen to me like I didn't listen to them." And we all try different things. But Christ, knowing that we are infallible, said, "Come with me." And then he renamed them. Now think about that. He renamed them. Just like it said in the scripture today. So, looking at all the things that happen in our lives on a daily basis, not everything is part of the grand master plan. I mean, if we break everything down, it could be. But we're called to do good things for good people all the time. Sometimes we may come into church here, and like we're going to do today, I have a feeling that some people are being called to be consistory members at this time. And the call, you have to get it from within your heart. And there are a lot of people that, "Oh, I could never do that. That's not for me. Let somebody else do it." That somebody else is probably you. If you're feeling bad about it, don't think you can't do it. Think you can do it. As I always say to everybody, hunt the good stuff in your life. And the negative stuff will always be there all the time. But hunting the good stuff that goes on in our lives, like Christ was hunting the good stuff and the good people that he picked at that time, because he knew in their hearts they were great people. Isaiah was called by God because God knew in his heart, even before Isaiah was born, that this was a good man that had a good message for a nation who individually could go out and change a nation with his message. And then Paul, even though he was a persecutor of Christians and crucified them, did everything that he could possibly do, was later converted on the road to Damascus and became one of the greatest apostles of that time. Greatness comes from little things that turn into big things. We here too are great in our own way. In what we do is where we sponsor our 25 members to that church school. We too are great here too for the programs that we do within this church itself. That didn't happen just because it happened. It happened because we were called as a congregation and we met that calling, and we continue to do those things. Yes, we have our differences, and yes, they will always be there. But I pray that we move on and we move forward, and that forward thinking instead of backward thinking is what's going to happen. And yes, change comes slowly. It never comes fast. And it's very hard to accept change from time to time. Amen.